All right, everybody, let's look at the second part of this here. So this one gives you all this information, tells you that this graph equals this graph, right? And it asks you for the solution. So for this one, all you really need to do is look carefully at the graph and see where they intersect. So that would be right here. All right, and you know that that solution, right, is at a point, which is -2 comma 4. The solution, though, is just what x equals. So x equals -2, because that's what will make this true, right? If I plug in -2, that will make them equal to each other. So it's the input that will make the output equal, give them the same output, which in this case is 4. All right, for number 14, we're looking at the system of inequalities here. So I'm first going to rewrite these as in slope-intercept form. So this is going to subtract x from both sides, and I'll get y is greater than -x plus 3. And so that means the line that has a y-intercept of 3 should have a dotted line and should have a negative slope. That helps me out a lot because the ones with negative slope in A and B are solid lines. So I can eliminate A and B. I know that that's not going to work, and I need to look at either one of these. So this is going to be greater than -x plus 3, which means that if we're looking at these, I'm just going to draw a quick sketch, right? Looking at this, then greater than this line, which is the dotted line, is going to be above the line where y is greater. Okay, so then for the second line, then right now that could be either of these still. I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. We get -y is greater than or equal to -2x plus 1. Now remember that I need to divide by -1 here. And when I do that, that causes my sign to flip. So this will be 2x minus 1 here. All right, that makes sense. It looks like my y-intercept is -1 in both of these, and I have a positive slope. It is less than or equal to, and so in looking at this line right here, right, my solid line, I'm going to be shading underneath the line because it is less than or equal to. And that means that this is the area here that they have in common. So that would be D. I strongly suggest that you also draw little sketches like this to help you kind of process what you're doing there as you're working on these problems. All right, number 15, we have again a system of inequalities. Same thing. I want to put this into slope-intercept form. So y is less than or equal to -x minus 4. That's my first equation. And then, so looking at that, this is the negative slope one, right? And so that's this line right here, which means I'm shading underneath this line. Hey, Google, stop. And then the next one is 7x minus 14, y is less than or equal to 0. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to subtract 7x, and then I'm going to divide by -14, which means I have to flip my sign here, and I will get 1/2 x. All right, so now I'm flipping my sign, which means I'm looking at greater than or equal to for this line here. Since I'm looking at greater than or equal to, I'm looking at shading above the line here, and that means the place that they overlap or intersect will be in region B. All right. Problem 16. So this is a road. These are the sides of the road. So this is the end of the road, and this is the other end of the road. And then in the middle is kind of where the road has its highest point so that the water drains off the sides. All right, so that's what that's all about. It's modeled by this equation, which is a quadratic function, because if I were to multiply this, I would get an x squared. But this is already factored out for me, which means I can see its zeros. And I know that one of my zeros is going to be 0, 0 here. And that my other 0 then, if I'm looking at this, will be x minus 18 equals 0. So x equals 18. So the other side of the road is 18. Okay? That means my crown, because that's the middle point, is going to be where x equals 9. So let's look at what we want to see is true here. So the y-coordinate of the crown occurs at x equals 9. Okay, so yes, where x equals 9, that's where we are going to have our crown, right? That'll give us our y here. The crown is 9 feet above level ground. No, so it's 9 feet in the middle, of the road, but it's not 9 feet up. The y-coordinate of the crown is approximately 0.4. Well, if the x-coordinate is 9, I can plug this in here. So negative 0.005 times 9 times 9 minus 18 is negative 9. So I'm going to get negative 81 times 0.005. So we can then, because we're doing a negative times a negative, make that positive. And then I'm going to multiply by 5 and then move my decimal over. So I'm going to get 400 here, right? Or sorry, that's 81, so 405 here. But I need to move my decimal over 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So it will be about 0.4. And so this is approximately 0.4. It'll be 0.405. So that is pretty close. The x-intercepts of f are 0 and 18. Yes, we know we have one at the origin, and we have another one over here, 18 feet away from the road shoulder. It says the x-coordinate of the crown is the average of the x-intercepts. So the x-coordinate of here is the average. It is 18 plus 0 divided by 2 gives us 9. So that is also true. Hi, Malachi. I see you there. Thank you for joining me. Is there, I guess I can't type back, so you just have to hear me. Hi. Okay, let's look at number 17. This is our last section. So number 17 says, which statement can be interpreted from the equation of the automobile costs, where we have 28,000 times 0.73 to the power of t. C of t represents the cost, and t represents the time. Select all correct statements. So you know that we are definitely going to have more than one statement. You got that one correct. Good. I know that you did. All right, so the equation is exponential growth. We're multiplying by a number between 0 and 1, so that is not growth. The equation is decay. Yes, it is in fact decay because we're multiplying by this number, which means it's going to get smaller. The equation is neither exponential. Nope, we just said that it's decay. 28,000 represents the initial cost. That is true. It says appreciates 27%, but we just said this is decay. So this is not increasing, it's decreasing. So that's not it. We can also eliminate E because that also has that appreciates word in here. So then the decision is it depreciating 27% or depreciating 73%? Remember, this amount here is the amount, there we go, is the amount remaining. It's not how much it's losing, it's how much will remain after each year. And so it's not going to depreciate 73%. That's what's going to remain. It's going to depreciate 27%. Okay? All right, number 18, similar problem. We have an exponential function here, and this is the amount that they're going to make, or the packaging system that they have and how much that's depreciating. So it's telling us that. And it wants to know, what does this right here mean? So this is going to give us our factor, and it's going to give us the amount that remains every year after it's depreciating. So A says the value of the system will be 0 in 12.5 years. Remember, this right here has nothing to do with years, right? What is that right there? This is not years. This is going to be the percent that it's losing each year. So that's not true. B, the value of the system will decrease by 1250. No, when we're decreasing by systems, we're not decreasing by the same amount each year. Otherwise, that would be a linear equation. C, the value of the system will decrease by 12.5%. That looks right, but let's make sure to read D too. The value of the system will continue to decrease for 125 years. No, my years is Y, right? So this is not the years here. So C is in fact the correct and best answer. Okay? Hello, welcome other viewers. Let's look at 19 and 20. All right, the scientist began a study. He has 1,500 bacteria. He noticed the bacteria can be modeled by this equation. In this equation, what does 5 of t represent? So notice the other ones were decay. These are increasing. We're growing here. So it says the number of bacteria increases by 5 bacteria each day. No. Again, this is exponential. We know because we have an exponent there. And this would be linear. The number of bacteria increases by T bacteria after 5 days. Same thing. That is not what we're looking at. The T stands for the days. The 5 does not stand for the days. The number of bacteria increases by a factor of 5 each day. Ooh, 5 is a factor. So again, C looks good, but let's read D just in case. The number of bacteria increases by a factor of T each day for 5 days. No, again, this does not represent the days. It represents the factor, how much it's growing by, and T represents the days. So again, C is our best answer here. All right, and then last but not least, number 20. So we have a food service company, and basically what you're doing is looking at these quantities. You have to consider what is the part and what is the whole to write a ratio, and then decide which one is the smallest and which one is the greatest, from least to greatest. So of the students surveyed, the proportion who are girls. So the total students surveyed are 31. Proportion of girls, 16 girls. So 16 out of 31. That is a little bit more than half. So that's a pretty decent sized number. Of the students surveyed, the proportion who prefer pizza. So 31 students total. The people who prefer pizza are 13. So 13 out of 31. Of the girls surveyed, so now I'm just looking at the girls here, there's 16 of them. The proportion who prefer pizza. So 5 of those prefer pizza. And then of the students who prefer pizza, so the kids that prefer pizza, there's 13 of them. The proportion who are girls, and there's 5 out of 13. Okay, so now we want to put these in order from least to greatest. So 5 out of 16 is the smallest amount, right? If you wanted to compare these, you would want them to have the same denominator, or you can put them into decimal form. I know that 5/16 is less than 5/13, and I know that both of these are less than 16 and 13 out of 31. So I'm going to say C is my smallest, so C, and then 5 out of 13 would be next, that's D. And then again, 16 out of 31 versus 13 out of 31, so we're going to have then B, and then last but not least A, which is again more than 50%. All right, and so your best answer here would be D. Okay, that is it. If you write the code word here, ukulele, at the bottom of your paper, I'll give you an extra point. Make sure to get enough rest tonight. Happy homeworking, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you're on the chat, say bye to me, and I'll know you're here. Some of you I already know are here and are going to get a little point. All right. See you later.